China is thought to have begun imposing new restrictions on Australian imports in an escalation of a diplomatic row. Australian goods, including copper, wine, timber and lobsters, are believed to be on the target list. Beijing has made no official announcement, but Chinese state media is reporting the new restrictions. German police are conducting raids in 3 cities in connection with the shooting in the Austrian capital Vienna last Monday, in which a suspected Islamist gunman killed 4 people. The police say the 4 people being sought were not believed to be directly involved in the attack, but may have links to the 20-year-old suspect who was shot dead by police. More than 82 containers of illegal waste will leave Sri Lanka today for return to the UK. The rubbish, which was sent to Sri Lanka for recycling, included hazardous materials such as hospital waste and plastics. Officials were first alerted to the rotting waste by its foul smell. BBC News.
明天的希望无限，听见台北的人情味。全世界活力在线，全都在台北 Radio。
公民总主笔，
方恩格时间。
当家抢先报，你不能不知道。
在今天晚上公民总主笔方恩格的时间当中，我们邀请到的来宾是人力社群平台 All Hands Taiwan 共同创办人肖恩·威尔逊。All Hands Taiwan 透过提供重要的资讯、建议以及资源，期望使台湾的求职和征才环境更加的完善。这是一个由超过3000名才华洋溢、雄心勃勃的专业人员所组成的平台，定期在台北举办社交活动以及征才博览会。在今天晚上的节目中，我们就来了解更多有关在台北求职的资讯。
谁当家？
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 你当家？
谁当家？谁当家？
谁当家？
谁当家？我当家。你当家？我当家。
我当家。
到底谁当家？你来当家。
Welcome to Residence Messenger with your host, Ross Darrell Feingold on Taipei Broadcasting Station. Our guest today is Sean Wilson from All Hands Taiwan, which is a great platform bringing together employers and those seeking employment. Sean, welcome to the show.
Hi, Ross. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
And you're here on this very unique week since we are both Americans, and there's this presidential election that's still ongoing 3 days after voting day. We won't talk much about that on the show, but before we move on to All Hands Taiwan, maybe you could share with the audience very quickly, what are your friends and family in the U.S., how do they feel about the election going on for 3 days?
Yeah, the election delays that are happening, I think we've seen before, so I think they are kind of used to it. We had with who was that, Gore and Bush back in the day?
That was a long time ago.
Yeah,
20 years ago.
Was it already 20 years ago? Okay. Well, I know that my family are texting me all the time saying that they aren't getting any sleep because they're on the edge of their seat.
But so they're watching it quite closely.
They are watching it quite closely, and me over here, I'm trying to just enjoy Taiwan, and we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. Happens to be one of President Trump's favorite phrases. So you mentioned your family. Which part of the United States did you grow up, Sean?
I grew up in a suburb of Baltimore, Maryland. So that's on the East Coast, and it's about, I guess, a 5-hour drive from New York City. It's also where it's very close to Washington, D.C. as well. So everybody I know works for the federal government, and it's also the city where NSA is headquartered, the National Security Agency. So
you have some secrets to share with us?
After we get off the air, we'll get to that.
Okay, great. And Baltimore actually has become kind of well known in recent years because of some TV shows.
Oh yeah, The Wire. That's what everyone says. They say, "I love The Wire."
And how do people from Baltimore feel about that?
I think we wish somebody knew something else about our city. But
Baltimore is also known for some foods as well, right?
Yeah, we do have crabs. Yeah, our crabs are very good. And then we have, I think previously we had a Taiwanese pitcher on our team, the Baltimore Orioles.
Yeah. I'll put you on the spot then. Whose crabs are better, Taiwan crabs or Baltimore crabs?
I think Marylanders, people from Maryland, are well known for enjoying a certain type of spice called Old Bay. So without that Old Bay seasoning and vinegar and beer sauce to put on top of crabs, it just doesn't taste like crabs to me. But yeah, the crabs here are decent.
Now, at the risk of returning to the U.S. presidential election, in my experience, Baltimore is a big city, similar to other big American cities, but of course with its own local specialties, food or culture, its own sports teams, as you mentioned. But one thing that I always found fascinating about Maryland is because it's on the coast, it's on the East Coast, and I had friends who came from some island areas off the coast of Maryland, and it was a very different culture. It was like a Southern culture, even though Maryland's kind of on the border of the North and the South, but we think of it as a somewhat northern state. But people I met from some of those areas have very different culture, a very different accent.
Yeah, I believe, Maryland is called the Old Line State for that reason, because it kind of mixes, on the East Coast, it mixes that northern and southern culture right through the middle. And yeah, so on the East Coast of the eastern shore of Maryland, there's a bunch of islands and Ocean City and some beautiful beach towns. But there's also a lot of farming, and very rural. So it's totally different experience from Baltimore.
You mentioned farming, but actually in university, you studied tech stuff. Right? So tell us about where you went to university and what you studied.
Okay. I went to university at University of Maryland, Baltimore County. So it's a school very close to Baltimore City. And there I studied computer engineering. And what that means is how to design computer hardware. So taking like memory chips and CPUs and how do you build those types of devices. So not a lot of sleep. I think a lot of people say that college is the best time of their life in America, and I just remember sleeping over in the engineering building a lot. So.
Well, any major in university with engineering in the name is one of the more difficult subjects. You're definitely the smartest person in the room. But when you were studying the tech stuff back in university, did you also develop an interest in Asia? Did you hear a lot about Asia? Did you take any classes related to things with regard to Taiwan or China or this part of the world?
Yeah, well, actually in high school, my best friend is Taiwanese American. So I'd hang out at his house and I'd talk to his parents, and they were very green, very DPP centric, and but they were very, very nice people, and they'd always ask me questions about American politics, and we'd talk. And so when I went to college, and they said you have to choose a language to study, I said, well, I wanted to study Chinese. So I took 3 years of Chinese in college, and it was kind of a toss-up between that and computer engineering, which major did I really want to take. So I ended up taking computer engineering. I thought it'd be easier to 吃饭. It'd be easier to make some money off of it. But yeah.
So did this friendship, is that the reason why you came to Taiwan in the first place? Because you had a friend who was Taiwanese American? I
think it's part of it. It is a big part of it. But when I was studying Chinese in university, I had a lot of conversation partners, 语言交换朋友. And the ones who are from Taiwan, they are always really kind and nice to me. So I felt there's so many nice people from one area, and they're really, really sweet. I really want to come and see this place.
So when did you first come to Taiwan?
I think that was 2007 when I first came to Taiwan, right after I graduated college. Yeah.
So you also have a lot of certifications in different areas of things related to tech and computer. Did you obtain all those while you were in Taiwan?
Yes, I did take those tests and study for them while here in Taiwan.
Which are some of the certifications?
It's really just various Google Cloud certifications. So I'm a Google Cloud certified architect, which means that I can go ahead and I can advise people on how to build clouds for their data and their processing and software using Google Cloud. So because that's what I specialize in. I take the exams related to that.
And what are the big challenges of taking those exams or obtaining those certifications, especially since you're also involved in helping match employers and employees? for people in Taiwan who are thinking about obtaining these certifications, what are some of the challenges that they often encounter?
I mean, these certifications are just they take a long time to study, I think. It takes quite a lot of effort to just discipline to make sure that you're studying it. So before I prep, it usually takes about a month or 2 months to actually get the certification. So when I'm on the MRT going home, I'm studying. Before I go to bed, I'm studying. On Sundays, I'm studying. So just got to keep it all in your brain, and then we just think about how cool it will feel to pass.
Now, you speak both Mandarin and English. Do you recommend people study for these Google certifications in English or in Mandarin?
Oh, I definitely recommend English because actually they don't offer the certification in Chinese. So it's kind of your written English will need to be pretty decent in order to study and pass these. But when you do pass, they give you a free sweatshirt. So that's what I have here is my Google Cloud certified engineer or architect hoodie, and it only costs $200 with because the certification costs $200 to take, and then if you pass, you get a free sweatshirt.
Did you ever think about working in the tech industry in some of the other tech hubs in Asia other than Taiwan?
I have thought about Singapore. It seems like a great place to grow your career. And there's a lot of companies there that are doing interesting work, but I don't know. I really like Taiwan. I like how it's so easy and convenient to just go anywhere to Yangmingshan or go to the beach. Just takes an hour away, or the hot springs. I mean, there's so much to love about Taiwan. It's going to be hard to drag me away from here.
And what about for other people, other foreigners, for example, that you encounter as part of your work with All Hands Taiwan? What are some of the other motivations for people to work in Taiwan besides Yangmingshan and the beaches or the food?
I mean, there is a very there's a great startup culture here. There's a lot of startups doing interesting work. There's Pick Collage, there's Deep Blue, there's Woodpecker Learning. There's just a bunch of different startups here, and the startup scene is amazing. So this month actually is Meet Taipei, which is a big startup festival, and it's great to see just what people are doing, and there's a lot of jobs in those startups for foreigners. So if you're looking to do something in tech, or if you want to do international marketing or international sales, I think those are the companies to look for. And I think that's actually what draws a lot of the foreigners here are these startups.
What kind of reaction do you get from Taiwanese companies or Taiwanese people, not necessarily in the startup scene, but more broadly, when you explain to them what you just said, that there are foreigners, younger foreigners, eager to work here, not as English teachers,
right,
but in other types of professional work, including in the tech industry? What's the reaction from people who aren't necessarily familiar with the startup or the tech industry?
Well, it is very interesting, the different types of reactions we get. Sometimes we talk to HR, and we talk to Taiwanese companies quite a bit. And sometimes somebody who works there will say, what you guys are doing is great, and I like you're trying to internationalize things, and that's great. And other people say, what's wrong with you?
How so? Why would they ask
they
that?
think like it's impossible for foreigners to come and work here. But I don't think it is. Yeah, I don't think it is, because you don't really have to have Chinese to do a lot of the jobs that are being done here. So, I mean, it definitely helps, and I always advise foreigners to learn some, just so you can get along with coworkers. But, there's a lot of jobs here that if they want to hire you, it's not because your Chinese is great. They want to hire you because you already have some other skill that they can make use of, and you can be on the phone or doing work with people overseas as part of an overseas branch, but they need somebody here. So, I don't think learning 4 or 5 years of Mandarin and then coming here is going to be productive, because that's not why they're going to be hiring you.
Give us some examples of some of those types of jobs that you just mentioned, where it matches what the employer needs, and there might be a willing or an interested or even an eager foreigner to take those jobs. Give us some examples in hopefully different industries, not just the tech industry.
Sure. I mean, yeah, like I said, there's a lot of marketing jobs here, and there's
What kind of products would they?
those
typically
are
be
often technical products. There's like I know Asus and Acer, they'll have people work here, and they'll be targeting like Australia or other markets. I know there's like manufacturing companies like baby strollers, and they have a huge international sales department here, but but they don't. None of those people have to speak Chinese to stay employed. So those are some things, and then sales is also another big one. You have to call or people overseas and talk to them about selling things with this B2B or B2C, business or business to consumer. I would say it's mostly those things, marketing and sales. And also there's technical writing, things that kind of branch off from English. So yeah, there's a lot of tech companies here, and they need people who can learn a little bit of tech and then help write manuals for their products. So that's also a big industry here.
What's the reaction from employers, though, when you go meet employers? For example, here in Taipei City, let's not talk about other parts of the island first. Just here in Taipei City, when you meet employers and you say, there might be foreigners or other people who use the All Hands Taiwan platform. Do you want to participate with All Hands Taiwan? What kind of reaction do you get from employers in Taipei?
I mean, yeah, they do ask, why do foreigners want to come to Taiwan, or Taiwanese or foreigners are going to leave in very quickly, so it doesn't make sense.
You've been here since 2007.
I've been here for 6 years. Yeah, so I say that, and then I also say, well, if they only come for 3 or 4 years, and they help your employees' English, or if they help improve a product, or they have a different perspective than other people, then I think it's worth it for those 2 or 3 years that they're with your company. So that's what I'd say when I talk to them.
And what's the reaction when you say 2 or 3 years? You should consider it a good candidate, even if you're worried they'll leave after 2 or 3 years.
They come around when I say 3 years. I usually don't say 2 years. But
So that's the magic number.
yeah, 3 years is the magic number.
So employers in Taiwan expect the employees to stay 3 years.
Yeah, but I wouldn't think even Taiwanese employees will stay at the same company that long, especially in tech. Yeah, all of my friends, I feel like 3 years is the limit at any company right now.
Well, what about some of the non-tech? You mentioned baby strollers.
Yeah.
What are some other areas where All Hands Taiwan has helped match employers and employees?
Let's say food and beverage. So we work with some franchise outlets here. We work with a few big restaurants here, and they use our platform, and they'll be coming to our job fair. So, Texas Roadhouse or Subway. So yeah, they are hiring, and they like our platform. They keep coming back, so it's great to have them.
You just mentioned the platform. Since you have a background in the tech industry, you know about startups. But tell us about starting your own platform, All Hands Taiwan. What were some of the challenges you had when you just getting it up and running, getting the website up, and obviously creating a website's not much of a challenge for someone of your knowledge, but I'm sure there still were some challenges that you encountered along the way. Tell us about starting your own startup or your own platform.
I would say that first of all, I don't think the first challenge was getting people to want to come. I mean, because there's actually a lot of foreigners here in Taiwan who are trying to figure their way out through finding a job or getting a better job or getting out of English teaching. So when we first had an event, it was, I think, 100 people, the first event that we had. So that's not the biggest challenge. I think the biggest challenge is making sure that we have something for everybody and keeping people engaged after that initial meetup. So, I mean, for our platform, I mean, I would say that our All Hands consists of networking events. I think that's, the core of what we do. Yeah, and then we have a job board. We have a blog that tells people how to find jobs or how to update your CV or how to find good jobs here in Taipei. And then we also have, the
the metrics to measure this?
Well, sure. We have, we have KPIs we try to hit, and then we kind of look at, what are people interested to learn more about, So we go through what are the articles we've written or had guests write for our blog, and, what's the traffic that people go to for there. And yeah, a lot of it is sort of the less glamorous things like visas. How do I get the gold card? How do I get the entrepreneur visa? How do I come to Taiwan and I'm overseas right now? So a lot of those kinds of topics about just being able to stay here are really the biggest ones. But we obviously want to listen to our audience, and we want to know what they need and what they want.
Is there a topic that you cover on the website, on the platform, that has surprised you for the level of interest that people have? No, I am surprised that I think some of these articles can be a little bit dry about visas and such, but everybody feels like it's very hard to navigate that world, the visa world, or what do I need to bring when I go apply, or am I eligible? So those things are, like I said, I think they're a little bit dry, but people seem to read them. Well, people do hopefully want to have a legal status. Right. It might be dry,
but yeah, that's the thing. I wrote an article about how to get the entrepreneur visa, and I think once a week I'll have somebody come up to me and say, "Thank you for writing that. Because of that, I was able to get that visa." So that feels good.
You mentioned the networking events. Did the COVID-19 have an effect on in-person events, or because here in Taiwan the situation is obviously much better than other countries, you were able to continue the in-person networking events? It did kind of hit us in March and April. We usually hold at least one event a month, and July, we got back to those numbers. So, it seems to be back where it used to be, and people are going to concerts now. I saw some video of huge concerts at Xiaojudan, right? So, I think just like the rest of the population, we're just grateful to be here in Taiwan, where the COVID issue is a lot less of a problem. Well, what about from the employer perspective for job candidates meeting potential employers? Did some of the interview process shift to using video conferencing software?
No, we haven't heard anything about that happening here, but we have heard a lot of companies are freezing hiring, which isn't great. I mean, there's I think the same number of foreigners are still here, but now that the jobs maybe a little bit less. I think obviously most of those jobs would probably be jobs that Taiwanese would be doing and not foreigners, but we promote talent circulation between Taiwan and other like-minded economies. So they do a lot of promotion of groups here that are doing work to help Taiwanese go overseas or come back, or foreigners who want to work here. They try to help them. Yeah, so they're one of the co-hosts for they're the co-host for our job fair that's coming up on November 21st. So we're very lucky and honored to be a partner of them. And they also work with III and IDB. So they'll also be there at the job fair as well.
Okay, we'll talk a bit more about that job fair in the second half of the program, but we're going to take a short break. This is Residence Messenger program with our guest, Sean Wilson, a co-founder of All Hands Taiwan.
我的心思一直滴答滴答滴答的响，披着寂寞的热闹。你的嘴巴一直咿呀咿呀咿呀的讲，接受想象的讯号。你想飞翔，盘旋在这天空之上。我想飞翔，当一颗守住你的月亮。走过世界，看自己一步一步被推开，人群之外穿着汗，沿着生命把自己一片一片捡回来，碎片之中拼出爱，看你飞翔。渴求自己原谅再原谅，我希望着你的希望，你去保护。
都更成功的关键是，
我要通奥。
公办都更的关键在和居民的沟通协调，以透明公正为原则，彼此互信，都更才能顺利进行。
以上广告由台北市。
Wilson from All Hands Taiwan, which is a great platform for bringing together employers and people seeking employment. Sean, right before the break, we were talking about government support, government interest in cooperating, helping people from other parts of the world as well.
Sure. I mean, there's, like I said before, there's the entrepreneur visa and the gold card visa. So those programs that are run by the federal government or the national government here, they are focused on all parts of the world, not just America. So I think right now, apparently the largest number of gold card holders is from Japan. So, this program that says, hey, you've got talent, you already have proven that talent, and you want to come to Taiwan, we'll make it very easy for you to get a visa, an open work permit, residency, and healthcare. Come over here and find a job or start a company. So that's a great program.
For those in the audience who don't know what the gold card is, give us the brief explanation.
Yeah,
who can qualify for a gold card?
That is a great question. There's a website called TaiwanGoldCard.com, which a group of gold card holders put together to help people understand what the qualifications are. The qualifications can be relatively high, but there's different qualification systems. One way is if your salary, I think, is over $5,000 a month, and you could qualify for a gold card. I know if you're they have different regions. So there's arts and education, there's sports, there's technology, and you can qualify under those under different ways. So if you go to TaiwanGoldCard.com, you could find that out.
Mm-hmm. And what about the entrepreneur visa? What are the qualifications for that?
Well, there's several different ways. I believe you could be crowdfunded by a crowdfunding platform. You have a patent, or if you get a co-working space to sponsor your application. That's the easiest way, I think, to get the entrepreneur visa. So you go to a co-working space and say, hey, I want to start a company and I'd like to rent space from you. And they'll say, okay, we'll help you with your entrepreneur visa. And then you put all the paperwork together and go to the office and get it. And the qualifications in that situation are obviously a lot less than the gold card. So
do you actually have to start a company, or you just have to rent a space in a co-working space?
You've just got to rent the space at a federally approved, sorry, I'm from America, a nationally approved co-working space. Yeah, that's it. That's really about it. So they don't ask you, they ask you obviously to give status about what you're doing, but if at the end of the visa duration you haven't started a company, there's no penalty, there's no harm, no foul if you can find another job. Or you can also renew the visa if your company hasn't gotten to the point where you could get a management visa or a company visa some other way at the end of it. Mm-hmm. So it's flexible.
Do you see a lot of foreigners applying for the entrepreneur visa as well?
Yes, I really do. Actually, we took a look in 2019. I believe at the time, there were 240 applications for it. 280 applications, and 240 of the people who applied got it. Mm-hmm. So there's an 85% approval rating for the entrepreneur visa at that time. So it's a I would say relatively easy way to get started figuring out what, looking at the Taiwanese market, if that's what you want to do, if you want to understand, how to get that company started here, it's a great way to do that.
Mm-hmm. And what happens after the first entrepreneur? You say people could get it renewed, or do they have to move on to actual employment or starting a company?
I would say that, hopefully you could use the entrepreneur visa just to get your company started. And then after that, you probably would want to transition to a management visa. So if you put 500,000 NT into a company here, then you can get a manager's visa for that company. And that's probably the best way to go, but obviously the requirements for renewing the entrepreneur visa are quite strict. So it can be. I only know of actually 2 companies who've actually had employees renew the entrepreneur visa. So I would say, you probably want to really think about your next move after you've got it.
Speaking of next moves, you have a whole series of events coming up at All Hands Taiwan in November. Let's hear about these events.
Sure. So we've got, obviously we said the job fair on November 21st. It's a Saturday. So come out, dress up nice, and bring your CVs. There'll be at least about 30 companies who are looking for people to hire. So there's ViewSonic. I think they're looking for 100 people. There's EMQ, which is a payment provider. There's Group M, which does marketing. There's a lot more. So we'll be releasing that list on our Facebook. So if you go to Facebook and search for All Hands Taiwan, you'll find us.
Hey, wait, you said dress nicely. This is the tech industry. Isn't everyone supposed to dress, like tech industry people?
Well, the job fair is for everybody, like you said before. So we'll actually have, it's not just tech, it's marketing, it's sales, it's we'll probably have some English, some bushibans there. We'll have, food and beverage. So, I would recommend you dress nicely. Mm-hmm. And then it's on the... tomorrow, actually, we're doing a networking crawl, which is... I guess,
what do you mean by crawl? You mean like people have to get on the ground and crawl all over?
I guess in America, there's a word, there's a term, pub crawl. So you will go from a different bar to a different bar, and I guess the crawling part is after you've had too much to drink. But that's not what this event is about. This event is about networking and meeting people, but it's a fun way to keep moving. So. You will go from, we'll start at one 7-Eleven and we'll go across from 7-Eleven to 7-Eleven and walk and talk. And maybe with a beverage in your hand, who knows? But it's a great networking tactic as well, because if you talk to somebody and you decide you want to talk to somebody else, we're always moving, so you can chat with a lot of different people.
And who typically participates in this event?
We do get a lot of students for these crawls, but we also have entrepreneurs who come and talk to us about their startup and want to know more about the All Hands platform. Mm-hmm. It's a great way to get out and network and meet people in our audience. So a lot of people with day jobs, English teachers. It's really a smattering from a mix of our existing audience.
Mm-hmm. And you said you had an additional event as well.
Oh yeah, so like I said, the job fair is on November 21st, mm-hmm. and before that we also thought, well, we have this networking crawl tomorrow, Saturday night. We also have an event on November 10th and November 11th about how to get hired. So before the job fair, we want everybody to have their CV and their interview skills in tip-top shape. Mm-hmm. So we have events, one in English and one in Mandarin, about we're bringing HR employees from different companies to come and talk about what they expect to see on your CV and resume, what they expect from how you conduct yourself. So it'll be a lot of great tips for people looking to get hired at the job fair. So that's November 10th and 11th. Check out our Facebook to learn more.
So there are going to be some tips on how to write a great resume?
Yeah, I guess the biggest one in Taiwan is to put your photo or not to put your photo. Because, in America, we don't put photos on resumes or CVs, but in Taiwan, it's a big deal.
What are some of the other differences between the American style or the European style resume and CV and the Taiwan one?
I think that Taiwanese resumes, they want to see sort of a commitment to Taiwan. They want to see that you want to stay here. So if you've been here for a few years, or you want to put your language ability in Mandarin, or Taiwanese, then that would be good. If you have taken some tests, some Mandarin tests that certify you as being proficient in Mandarin, that looks good too. And they want to see experience. They want to see experience in the field, obviously. So, for example, I think it can be, if you didn't graduate from Taiwan, it can be very hard to get a job if you don't already have 2 years of experience in the field you're applying to, because the government will, they'll check, right? They'll say, why would you hire a foreigner instead of a Taiwanese?
Is that inconsistent with the things you were discussing earlier in the show? You said the government is very encouraging of foreign talent coming to Taiwan. There's government agencies that you cooperate with, but on the other hand, they do have experience requirements to ensure that the job opportunities go to Taiwan people first, which is understandable.
Yeah, it is totally understandable. So the reason that they do that, I think they want qualified people. I think whatever whether they're Taiwanese or foreigners. I think they just want qualified people. So if you can show your qualifications, then it'll be easy to get a job here.
You've seen a lot of people in your work with All Hands Taiwan who've gotten hired by Taiwan companies as well as some multinational companies. What are some of the differences in the hiring process or the interview process between a Taiwan company and a multinational company in Taipei?
I think the style could be for a multinational could be more like foreign companies. So it may only take 1 or 2 interviews to get hired. I've seen Taiwanese companies take 3 or 4 interviews before you finally pass all their checks. And then in Taiwanese, I'm in the tech industry, so I've seen that the Taiwanese interviews for tech employees often require very, very, I would say, Google-like style of technical questions. So, in America, a lot of technical companies, they'll ask you some programming questions or coding questions, but they'll be relatively light, I think, compared to what you might face in Taipei.
So the Taiwan companies ask the tougher technical questions.
Yeah, they do.
What are some of the hot jobs? We only have a few minutes left. So tell us some of the hot jobs that Taiwan companies are looking for employees, regardless of their nationality or their background, in the tech industry. What are some of the hot jobs right now in Taipei or other parts of Taiwan?
Well, it's all about programming. It's all about coding, really, for companies in Taipei. So whether it's, I have to say, Python seems to be a very big language here. Node.js is another big language. These are they're looking for back-end, front-end. They're looking for people who can do what's called DevOps, which is, taking code from programmers and making sure it works on the systems that people are seeing. So those are some big jobs. And then I think down south you see more like mechanical engineering jobs. Yeah, more industry-related things. So that's what we see. I do also know that TSMC is hiring all kinds of people right now over there on the West Coast over there. So, but those are a lot of manufacturing, chip fabrication related jobs, chemical jobs. Yeah.
So it's a good time, it sounds like, to be looking for jobs in Taipei.
It still is. We were kind of scared when we started, planning for the job fair because we thought, we've heard about these hiring freezes by all these companies, and are we going to be able to find companies who want to hire? And it's great that we've been able to find quite a few companies who, it's business as usual for them mostly, and so they're looking for great people, and we'd like to help them find them.
Okay, and once again, that job fair is on November 21st. There's the networking crawl tomorrow, and November 10th and 11th, there'll be this great English or Mandarin activity where people could learn a bit more about interview skills and preparing a CV or a resume. Sean, one more time, what's the All Hands website?
You can go to our website. It's allhandstaiwan.com, or you can find us on Facebook. Just go to Facebook and search for All Hands Taiwan, all with spaces, all space, hands, space, Taiwan. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sean. You've been listening to Residence Messenger with our guest, Sean Wilson from All Hands Taiwan, a networking job seekers website. Thank you for listening and have a great weekend. 牵手走成有风景的